What is going on, eaters and feeders? Today's episode is going to be a bit different. I'm trying out a new bit of content. I want to start doing interviews with other meal prep business owners. And the first one on the chopping block is Tom Orlandi. Tom has been following me, his business that he runs with his wife, Sarah. He's been following me since really my beginning, since before I had even 100 subscribers. So I've kind of been in the journey with him one step at a time. He's been in my YouTube journey with me one step at a time. So I thought it was a very appropriate first interview to be doing. I'm looking forward to doing more interviews with other meal prep business owners because it's something that I find very interesting. I love speaking with other entrepreneurs, and especially when it's an entrepreneur who's also in the meal prep arena. We're able to, share battle stories and show scars and, just do the very intimate back and forth that really only other meal prep entrepreneurs can really understand and appreciate. So I hope it's something that you guys also find interesting. If so, I've got plenty of other ideas for more interviews, more businesses I want to speak with and, just chew some fat with. But in today's episode, I actually had to split it up into 4 different episodes. So this is the first one. Some of the things that we discuss in this episode, number 1, we're going to be talking about how they started from scratch. They actually started out of their home, Tom and his fiance at the time, Sarah, way back in August of 2019. So he's got, some time under his belt. They're doing about 2,000 meals now. So they've had a pretty good run at it, and they actually started going full throttle in the very beginning of the 2020 catastrophe, the stuff that everyone's afraid to mention by name because censors are going to take down the YouTube video. But you know what happened in 2020. Tom's going to explain how he started in the beginning of that. It's a very interesting perspective because we obviously started years ago, and we had a bit different experience. But he's going to talk about his organic growth, hiring, some of the struggles that he's endured through 2020, and we're also going to discuss being abandoned by chefs, and that was really a story that I was sharing. And we're also going to get into logistics. We've got more stuff that we get into in the other 3 episodes, but that's what we're going to cover in today's episode. So check it out. Let me know what your thoughts are in the notes below. If you've got a meal prep business and you'd like to be interviewed, if you're in the meal prep mafia, please reach out. Let me know. I'm going to start scheduling interviews, maybe do once a month, see what time allows. But it's something I definitely want to, for my own personal selfish interest. I love learning about your experiences. And like I said, just being able to connect with someone else on that level, on their own journey, but with all those similarities. I think it's something that's cool, and I hope it's something that you guys enjoy and find some information that you can take with you to not only make you feel that you're not crazy, but also give you some ideas as to what you may have in store and some things to, maybe plan for that you otherwise weren't expecting. Obviously, if you're new, you're probably going to want to check out my other episodes because that's what I normally do. But make sure you've subscribed and you've got that alert notification on. I've also got a ton of free stuff, free content, free tools, free resources you can get to through the links in the show notes, as well as my website, mealprepbiz101.com. But I'm really excited to get in today's episode and see what you guys think of it. So again, hit me in the comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are, and maybe I'll do more of these more regularly.
Welcome to our channel where we go behind the scenes for meal plan company Fit Food Fresh and other local businesses across South Florida. Make sure you hit the subscribe and alerts so you never miss a video, and hit us with any questions or suggestions.
I figured we would just kind of casually talk, roll right into it with talking about how you guys started and that kind of stuff. How long have you guys been doing the meal prep grind?
Well, legit because we started in the house. It was just a thought. We were having a baby late November, early December 2019, and we had our maternity pictures in July of 2019, and we have 2 little dogs, and we wanted to bring the dogs with us. So we asked her brother, "Hey, Cody, would you mind coming to watch the dogs for a little bit while we get our pictures taken?" "Absolutely, no problem. I'll take out the dinner." And everything was cool. Dropped the dogs off after the pictures. And we just started talking about food preparation, meal prep. And I use a very large meal. I used to use a very large meal prep company up here called Eat Right.
Yeah.
Uh, it's just, I used to work for a gym, and we kind of joined forces at one point. And they always took care of me. They're great guys. I know the owners, great dudes. And we were in the car on the way to get something to eat. And he started talking about meal prep with me. And he's like, "Hey, Tom, who do you use?" I'm like, "Oh, I use Eat Right. I'll use Balanced Body, some of the people up here." And he's like, "Yeah, I've heard of Eat Right, but I'm just, I miss Sarah's cooking, because Sarah, she's a ninja in the kitchen. She's just awesome. She's amazing, and she doesn't have to use a lot of like creams or cheeses. She uses a lot of spices for her food, which makes it healthier."
Yeah.
So she's like, "Yeah, I cook for Tom, and I just cook in bulk, and him. I put it together. I'm basically to the point where I can eye up macros. Obviously, I still weigh stuff at the studio, at the shop." And then he said the magic words, is the magic sentence. He said, "You two should do something like that." And the light bulb just clicked for me, and I'm like, my motor started going and just started going. And we went to dinner. I really didn't say much or talk much. Those two were talking, brother and sister were talking. And we get home, and she's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. But what your brother said really resonated with me." She's like, "What did he say?" I'm like, you didn't catch that? Like, starting a meal prep together." And she's like, "Well, what do you mean?" And that night we literally stayed up till like 2, 3 in the morning, just kind of game planning and writing just everything down. And like I was saying before, I worked at a gym. It's a very large boutique gym up in Buffalo. It's actually no longer open, which is ironically enough. So he had 8 gyms at the time. I was his vice president of sales. And I'm like, let's just make some meals. I'm going to bring it into work and see if these guys they'll enjoy it. So we made like 4 different dishes, 30 meals, and I just passed them out to the guys. I'm like, "Here, guys, let me know what you think. Or let me know if this is good." I put them together. She cooked it, and I pieced it together, put the macros on it and everything. And there's 3 guys that are like, "How much are these?" I'm like, $5. So they're like, "Okay, cool. Give me 10 of these, or give me 3 of these, 4 of these, 5 of those." And our very first order, it was in August, was 30 meals. And we're like, "Wow, okay, this is cool. Cool, we'll do this." We'll go to the store. We went to Sam's Club. We got everything, and came home, prepared over the weekend, and took it in. And next thing you know, 30 meals went to 60, 60 went to 90, 90 went to 120. It's just like kept climbing and climbing and climbing. And yeah, so we've been grinding hard since August 2019, and it went legit into an actual facility of February 1st of 2020. We took a little break because we had a child, December 7th, 2019. So we needed a little breather, where obviously she's the cook. I would burn boiling water. I can't cook for nothing, but I know everything else of the business. So
I say that exact phrase, and it's really so accurate with I can work a microwave decently, but anything beyond a microwave and maybe a toaster, like, you don't want me touching the food. Like, even thawing something out, I give it to my fiance. Did Sarah have any like formal training? What was she doing when you were at the gym and you guys were deciding to start this?
She had a cleaning service that was doing very well, but it was just it's so labor intense that she had to put that on the back burner, because she was 8 months pregnant by the time we had to take 9 months pregnant when we had to basically stop. And she had to stop cleaning. She loved it, but it was just so labor intense. And she loved cooking. She has no formal experience, nothing, no professional. She's never worked in a kitchen, just her own. And ironically enough, her father, back in the day when she was like a teenager, was Mr. Buffalo, big bodybuilding competition up here. Okay. And she used to prepare his food. Okay. So she gets it. And I'm like, wow, I never put 2 and 2 together. And I was just like, this is awesome. And that's basically how everything got started with her and I when we met 5 years ago. Was she saw me meal prep for myself.
And she's like, no, you don't know what you're doing. Let me help you.
That's exactly it. Big pot, huge pot, rice, chicken, cranked the heat. Once the rice was done, I knew the chicken was done. And she saw me do this twice. And she goes, what the hell are you doing? I go, I'm meal prepping for like 3-4 days. And she goes, what do you do for flavor? The only thing that was in my fridge was old meal prep containers, a big Sam's Club thing of hot sauce, and beer. That was it. So she's like, I have to cook for you. I'm like, okay, well, here's my restrictions. I was really, really, really stern on my nutrition. No dairy, very light in sodium, no this, no that. I don't eat this. I'm just very plain Jane. And I got it because I was very heavily into bodybuilding myself.
Mm-hmm.
So she cooked for me. I ate it. And I'm like, what's in here? Is there cheese in here? Is there something? She goes, no. And my body responded very well to it. And so it's just, she basically just started cooking for me, and she loves it. She's so good at it. It's like, you should hear her in the kitchen, man. She's with the other employees. She just like, she gets it. Super cool.
How many employees do you guys have now?
9.
Nice. Almost out of fingers.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's including the delivery people. I'm sorry, 10, including the delivery people. Because sometimes we need like 3 or 4. Normally it's 3, but it's sometimes you need to go to get 4 people.
Right on. Did you guys? What's that?
No, good.
Oh, I mean, as far as your initial growth, you said you're just going boom, boom, boom. Was that with any kind of effort, or was it like just word of mouth? I mean, I'm assuming you weren't putting advertising dollars behind it out the gate, right? It was just kind of word of mouth, organic stuff.
A very organic, very word of mouth. It was basically everyone just loved her food. She was awesome with it. And one person told one person, and I was afraid to say anything because I didn't want it to be a conflict of interest. I didn't want to get it back to the big boss and being like, stop promoting your stuff. So I didn't say a word. People would just come up to me and say, hey, you and your fiance, you guys do meal prep together? I'm like, yeah, I do. Well, do you have a menu? Like, it was like, dude, I think I still have it somewhere in my office. Just something on a Word doc, just with a what is it? A picture of thyme, the spice, because it's called Kraving Thyme, and we just handed out. It was like maybe 8 entrees, and people it just grew to the point where we were doing almost 300 meals in our kitchen.
How were people putting the orders in initially?
Texting. It was all texting. It's funny. I still have our old menu, and I would write everything down. I would even write our labels, everything on an Avery label. I wrote everything.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, yeah. It was, but we love doing it, man. We love doing it. It was a great, it was just a team effort that just worked beautifully.
What, as far as, I know it's not always easy, working with your significant other. Have you guys, I'm assuming you guys have kind of found your rhythm where her strengths, your strengths, and you kind of surrender where you need to surrender. What does that kind of look like? Like what hats do you wear versus what hats she wears? Obviously she does all the cooking.
She does. She controls all the cooking, all of the prepping. I control all of the plating. I have a guy in logistics I deal with like our deliveries, who's, a godsend with 60 to 90 deliveries. I would be like, all right, here, go ahead, guys, go deliver. Here's your phone, just have fun. So I do that, marketing, sales. She basically makes everything taste good. I bring the people in. Awesome, that works. But it's not easy working with your significant other. Sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I have a little bit of a controlling issue, so I will butt in when I probably shouldn't. So, but I get put back in my seat.
Are there any reoccurring issues where it's always like my fiance and I, when I help her with her business, she's got a website as well where she sells handbags, and I have my certain opinion, and it's like it always goes back to those same conversations. Like we have them over and over. You guys have any of those where you have
it's always about employees, unfortunately. And I think I've reached out to you before and asked about how do you hire, your hiring process, because we're still kind of it's tough, man. It's tough to find the right people, especially where I'm located. I'm located in Niagara Falls, New York, kind of. It's like 15 minutes, 20 minutes away from downtown Buffalo. And it's not the greatest area in the world, to be honest with you, but where my shop is, I can't beat it. With the price, the rent. I mean, your establishment is just like 50 times the size of mine. I'm dealing with maybe 960 square feet, and we're pumping out about 2,000 meals. Well, we were pumping out 2,000 meals. Now it's going to take a little dip, but hopefully January projections, it's going to obviously get back to the 2,000 mark.
Yeah, that Thanksgiving to New Year's stretch is always a downer, because between people saving up for Christmas gifts and traveling and having in-laws and everybody visiting, and then obviously like that, nobody cares about their goals from Thanksgiving to Christmas because they're worried about eating, enough turkey and stuffing, and they're like, screw it, January's going to come around. But you'll see, I'm sure you've experienced it last year. January through March is like the sprint. What was your 2020 like? I know you obviously grew through 2020, but what was that whole experience like? Did you guys have to shut down? You guys ever miss a cook, or you just...
No, we never skipped a beat. I mean, there were times where, but our first week, we didn't cook at all in December or January. We started in our shop February 1st, and this whole thing went down March 13th. Yeah. And I was like, and I think I reached out to you at some point. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. We'll go on the offense. We're just going to be basically, Cuomo up here just said that everything either has to be takeout or delivery. I'm like, that's kind of what we are. So perfect. We're just going to ride the delivery wave and go from there. I actually did free delivery, which is, I know you told me that was the stupidest thing I could have done, but I didn't know what to do. So I did free delivery for everyone, and that's all I did. I didn't do any pickups or nothing. Looking back, I would have completely did that different, trust me. But it worked. And it worked, man. If anything, COVID helped us do this. Yeah. I think, because I got nothing else to go off of, in all honesty, because we had no 2019, and no real 2019. So
what was your peak? Like, how many meals or how many tickets did you peak out at this year?
It was just shy of 2,000 a couple times. It was September, October.
200 tickets or something? 180, 200 tickets?
No, it was what was it, about 100, and it was kind of low, man. It was like 140.
Oh, so you have a high ticket average. You're probably selling like 13, 14 meals. Do you guys have packages, or is it like pick your own or minimums?
Yeah, no, it was about anywhere. We average anywhere from 14 to 16 meals per person per ticket. And it's I do multi-meal discounts. So it starts at, once you get to 10, you start to get a discount, 15 discount, 21 discount. It's like, I kind of pair it with how many meals are you're going to have in a day. Yeah. So when I speak to someone, they're like, I'm thinking about doing your service. Well, what do you recommend I do? I'm like, well, how much do you eat in a day? How many meals? Do you do breakfast? Do you lunch? Do you do dinner? Do you just do lunch? What are you trying to substitute this for? So it's like, instead of just being like, do the 21, it's like, sell me this pen. It's like, well, I don't need a pen. Well, I'm not going to sell you the pen.
Yeah.
It's that whole thing. It's like basically knowing your member, and then kind of tailoring something to them. And that's really worked for us.
No, that's smart. That's, that's exactly what, customers want. They do want stuff to be dictated to them as far as like being able to follow a path, but they also want that freedom to be able to, like, it's like those choose your own destiny books, that definitely appeals to people. What have you guys been like most challenged with? Is there any kind of reoccurring thing where you feel like you keep hitting your head on a wall, or are you kind of getting through everything?
Yeah, employees, just getting the right employees, man. Because like I was saying before, the area is kind of known for, I hate to say it, like drunks and druggies, but I think the restaurant industry in general is just loaded with them. And I hate to say it like that, but it's the facts. It's just the hardest thing that we're encountering is that. And then in the beginning, when we were getting a little bigger, going, like when we say big, it's like 500, 600, 700 meals a week. It was just, we had a lot of waste, but we fixed that. But still, to this day, it's just employees.
Yeah, I remember when you were saying that you were having trouble hiring people because the government subsidy, people were making more money just staying at home.
Yeah.
And
When I don't know if that happened in Florida, right? When they were getting the extra
yeah,
$600.
it wasn't they weren't making as much, but it was something similar. And I remember my buddy he got really excited because he started bartending and he got hired at this place. He's like, I can't believe I got hired. And then after 2 weeks, he's like, I was making more on unemployment. And he's like, this is really disheartening. I was like, yeah, that's
super defeating. Yeah. And we were getting I was putting a lot of ads out there for cooks, for platers, for prep, for delivery people. We were getting a ton of phone calls, but it wasn't transpiring into anything because I think they were just trying to fulfill I'm searching for a job.
Yeah. Just,
I guess they need employment. So,
they got to put out the list of companies they applied to and just be like, oh, I didn't get the job. Keep sending me my money.
Exactly. So that was a battle and a half. But I mean, you just do what you got to do. And I basically go in every week thinking, okay, I can lose 2 people. Just, they might not show up. They might just not work out. They might be drunk and not show up. I mean, it's just, but I'm sure I don't know if you've encountered anything like that. It's just,
yeah, we actually had, we went through in our first 2 years, we went through 13 chefs, not just like regular, like head chefs. We went through 13 and a few of them unfortunately, they had substance problems. Delray Beach, which is the city just north of us, is like known as like the rehab capital of the country. Like there's so many rehabs down here that it's like its own industry, lots of halfway houses. And I'm all about giving people in recovery another shot. And I'm really, understanding of that. But, people do have demons. And even I used to have a call center business before this. And that was it's probably just as rampant as the food industry. And you'd have these people who come on and they're superstars for a month. And you're just like, man, if I had 10 of you, this would be a money factory. Like, thank God. And then they show up late or they don't show up. And you're just like, you give them the benefit of the doubt because they have that track record of like, well, they came in as a superstar, so she must legitimately be sick. But same thing with restaurants. Like you said, it's unfortunately that kind of lifestyle that they're coming from, late nights and drinking and, doing whatever else. We had one guy let us down a couple of times, big time, and we didn't realize it. We actually split ways with him, had him come back just because he was so good. He has an amazing resume. He was an executive chef at Ruth's Chris. So this guy has the discipline. He's got the skill. He's got the creativity. He says all the right things, but he had his demons. And like the last time that we had to like permanently sever our relationship, he went out for his niece's recital and on a Friday, and then he was MIA until Monday. And it was just like, we had to go through an entire cook, the sous chef, who like, there's no way we would have gone into it knowing how, we didn't understand really what it took. We didn't understand the difference between a sous chef and a head chef. Like it was just all cooking. It's like, oh, you could cook better than me? Yeah, you can handle this. There's so much more to it. Somehow now looking back, I realized like we barely survived that weekend going through with the sous chef handling it because he wasn't even really a qualified sous. We just gave people titles because we're like, well, you're not the executive chef. You're the next guy. You're the sous chef. There's so much more to it. And even like an executive chef, now we know there's like so many qualifiers and so many skill sets that you have to really be an executive chef and to really be a sous chef. So in any case, we limped through that weekend. We're like, this is it. Like and it's like, dude, we love you, but like, you've got to fix yourself, man. Like we wish the best of you, but we've got so many people that we depend on, your team. And from then on, we kind of had a zero tolerance policy because the way we look at it is, if I don't sever these ties, it's nothing personal with you, but I'm letting down the team. Yeah. And I owe it to every single one who showed up and who's busting their ass. and I got to do it for them. And I sympathize for you, and I wish the best, and, you know, no hard feelings, but unfortunately, it's hard. But then when you find those people, you treat them right. I mean, that's what's beautiful about this business, I'm sure you've experienced, like the schedule, especially, I don't know if you've ever worked in a restaurant, but like this is a completely different way of life. You're not getting out at 2 a.m. You're not having, you know, at 11 p.m. when you're closing up, you're not having an 18 top walking in asking for well done steaks, and you have to like do everything all over. So our people are able to get out while the sun's still out. They're able to pick up their kids from school. So you get the right people and they appreciate the job, and the pay is stable. The pay is nice. The environment is easy. I always tell people it's like a hurricane. You see it coming a week in advance. It's big. It's a lot, but like you can prep for it. It's not a tornado that's just like, oh, what's walking in the door? Oh man, this is crazy. There's no servers in their window. So once you find the right people, you should be willing to get them to stay. We've got people who've been with us. I mean, I think our longest employee we hired our first year, a few of them. So like 7 years, going on 7 years. So it's cool when you find the right people. It's rewarding when you can build that family and team, but that is integral. How many delivery drivers did you say you have?
Anywhere from 3 to 5, basically. I have a guy, my logistics guy, who he's a director of logistics for a company up here called Ingram Micro. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. Yeah, they're here, and I believe in California. So he's like the director of logistics, and I just literally, soon to be my brother-in-law, which is kind of rewarding. I just send him all of the addresses, and he just pieces the routes together, tells me how many people I need. I'm pretty good now to the fact where each driver can kind of handle, I say 22 to 25 deliveries. Anything over the 25, I believe, is too much.
That's the sweet spot. I always like depending on the size of their car, 24 is normally a sweet spot. Maybe if they have a minivan, you let them get into 30, but then you also get into the route being time-wise too long, and now they're, because we try to get done before 6 a.m. All right, now I actually had to cut this interview short because I had to run out the door and pick up my fiance from work. She got out a little bit ahead of schedule, and we shared vehicles that day. So I will invite you to check out the next episode, and to give you an idea as to what is in part 2, we discuss the importance of the order deadline, cooking schedule, 1 cook per week versus 2 cooks per week, Tom's visit to Fit Food Fresh, which he made at the beginning of 2020. Some of the stuff that he experienced and saw there, very interesting. It was great to have him. A little bit of hectic time. We get into that. Things we've learned from doubling, plateaus of profitability, customer service, making lemonade out of lemons, which is great stuff, building loyalty, branding with your personality, menu item ideas, national shipping, price wars. We go over a lot of stuff. So if that all sounds interesting and something you want to hear about, I invite you to check out part 2 of the interview with Tom from Kraving Thyme. Aside from that, I appreciate you watching this episode. I hope it's something that was informative, maybe something that was entertaining, and I invite you to subscribe, hit those alert notifications, check out the links in the show notes, check out mealprepbiz101.com. And again, if you've already got a meal prep business and it's running, I might want to sit down and do some interview time with you as well. I think it's great exposure, not only for other meal prep companies to learn from, but I also think it's great exposure for your brand. I'm a big believer in customers wanting to know the stories about the owners and the brands and the businesses that they spend their hard-earned dollars with. So I think this is a great format to do it. And like I said, I love connecting with other entrepreneurs. So I think it's something that I would definitely dig as well. And reach out, join the Mafia. Meal Prep Mafia. All this stuff is on mealprepbiz101.com as well as in the show notes. And I hope you have an amazing day. I look forward to catching you on the next episode.